Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for April 6th through the 12th, 2020. So let's take a moment to take a deep breath and to really just connect in with our I am presence. And there we're showing me the sign of Aries, which we're in this month. And there's a feeling of action. And this may also be a conflict as we are feeling very much sort of grounded in a sense. We feel like we can't leave our rooms. It's like we feel like, our parents or someone has grounded us. And we're full of new, vibrant energy and a sense of, with this fire sign, that you really feel like you just want to be doing something and that you're feeling inspired and motivated to do things. So the challenge is going to be to find a way a new outlet for this energy, this new energy of opportunities as we're entering spring and all of these things just coincide. And so you're going to have to really become creative about how you find ways to channel this energy. And it may feel, you may have a sort of a stubbornness or an inflexibility around this because, you're used to going about doing things in your own way with a freedom that we take for granted, actually. We take this freedom that we can do whatever we want and at any time when an impulse arises. And this must be very difficult for the Aries sign to be constricted, and for that aspect of us that is that this is when this aspect of us is triggered. And so the thing is that we have to take let's see the words I'm looking for. We have to, this is affording us the opportunity to look at the idea of free will, to look at what we call being grounded, what we consider being restricted or limited. What we're going to sort of understand, and what I think the angels are getting at, is that all of these concepts are created in our minds. So we have this general agreement about what it means to be isolated or restricted or free, at liberty to do what you please, to have free license, to go and come. And most of the time we think about all this in our physical perspective. We think about movement. And yet, what you're going to discover is that your non-physical world, reality, is limitless even without the physical world. This means that within your spirit, you can travel anywhere. You can imagine or create or do or be in any way that you please, because it's all a state of mind. And these limitations and things that we perceive come from a state of mind, or the condition of liberty or freedom, and isolation, restriction is a condition of your mind. And now you're being really sort of pointed in the direction of connecting to your soul reality, the unlimited, the unconditional. Within your soul's reality, there, time and space and all those other restrictions of duality do not exist. And it is forever discovering its freedom. Even when it encounters a limited belief, your soul uses that almost as a catalyst for discovery of the expansion of who you are, not the restriction or the limitations. And so this new energy of Aries is still has room to express itself. And what you have to do is take your mind off of the conditions and start to, through your spirit or your soul, your higher self, discover the opportunities of being unconditional in how you love and how you express. And this works right in alignment with this energy that kind of came in this week. I don't know if you were able to follow my daily card messages, but I was guided at the early part of the week, probably the weekend, early part of the week, previous weekend, and given some information for the 31st leading into the 1st and moving on, that these new ascension energies were coming through. And what they wrote was yellow ray. And the yellow ray is in alignment with the crown chakra, which is like a pale yellow, and is associated with according to this piece of information, according to Diana Cooper, is associated with the planet Uranus. And its ascended aspect, which her guides gave her, was Courtenay. So this ray, Uranus, has a lot to do with, sudden and radical changes, right? Which is one of going to be so important right now to, changing how we see things and adapting and to change very quickly, and being a force for the new changes that are coming forth out of the conditions that we're in right now, and is causing us to come to access these fifth dimensional concepts. So this new earth paradigm. And although we feel really restricted and we feel grounded, it's a test. It's the word they're writing. And it's not a test that you're going to fail. It's a test in the sense that it challenges you to make a decision, because we all have free will individually and we have collective free will. We have, we were talking about the 111 frequencies and energies, and this is a reminder of our soul agreement, our soul contracts, our collective soul contract to make these radical revolutionary changes that would help to put us on the path of ascension. And we are here to usher in that new earth paradigm. And, you know, it's very much where we have to realize what the state that we're in right now. And I may have said this last week, but, you know, it bears repeating. You know, it's very similar to, I remember some years ago, one of my bills was updating their website, and they kept sending notices they gave us like a couple of months to go ahead and change your login, you know, get on this new system, or you wouldn't be able to access your account any longer after that point. You would be forced. So they were still allowing you to use that old until you adapted and you know, changed around. But when that deadline came, it was over. And we are in that place right now. We were being given a chance and you know, to switch to this new fifth dimensional platform, this foundation. And this is a platform of unconditional love. This is a platform of unconditionalness and, you know, unlimitedness, you know, and love is its ground base. And we know what happens when we don't update our software. Say an application, if they tell you you need to update it, it's not going to work. So, you know, it's going to be a little off. And you're going to have lots of bugs and all kinds of things. So it's imperative that we do update our software. And so we have access. We're just not logging into it. And when we log into it, is the reason we're not logging in is because we're resisting the inevitable changes. These are changes that we all agreed upon collectively before coming into our physical earthly bodies. And so you can see how everything right now isn't working. Our health is under threat. Our everyday needs, our livelihoods, the governance is, all of these things are now in a crippling state because we are still trying to operate in the three-dimensional paradigm. We're still using fear as our home base because the three-dimensional paradigm, really what drove it was fear. And that is why we've all been acting as though our requirement for our life is survival. Right now, this is what we're all struggling with, survival. And what's underneath that is fear. What's underneath fear for me is lack. That is why all of the supplies, people are consuming them and, you know, hoarding them because they are still activating the three-dimensional framework and that survival mode. In the last 3-4 years, we've been in survival mode. We all gave in to our fears about what our political leaders were doing and all the other truths that were coming out. We all started to freak out and we became reactive to these things. Now, this does not mean that standing in your truth and speaking out your truth, you know, if, say for instance, in the Me Too movement, you were a victim, that's perfectly fine to speak out your truth so that you can heal, right? But many of us, for many of us that we were just watching on the sidelines, it was sort of like, my God, another thing, this world is going, oh my God, I can't take it, And so because I had this experience in a different way when there was something in the last year when I broke my ankle and got sick. It was a whole chain reaction of, my own triggers about singing and, performing and, these deep beliefs that I'm not good enough, at what I do. And when I was being given more opportunities to do it because of my talent, I freaked out. And then when there were certain things that I didn't like happening the way they were going, it stressed me. And what I did is I caused myself to get some virus that they said that mimicked the flu to me, but they said it wasn't. Then I broke out in a rash, and this happened within the week before the performance, and this happened within 4 days. Then I'm on this prednisone, and then I go to the dress rehearsal, and I'm kind of like loopy on some of the drugs I was on, and didn't see the floor, tripped, broke my ankle. I've never had anything like that happen. But the thing about it is that something was, an opportunity was opening up, and I was resisting it, regardless of whether I felt that some of the things that I did go through was right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It's how I reacted is what matters to the whole thing. And so you get my point. It doesn't matter if what you are reacting to is valid. Doesn't matter. Because all of that is you, the ego, the I, we're talking about the I versus the we, the heartbeat versus the clock, that ego is always thinking about itself. And there's a reason for that, but it has to be in balance with the rest, So we only see, and what I mean by that is that we only see ourselves through our lens. And one of the things is that when we cross over and we have our life review, we see those experiences that we created, some kind of karma, we see that through, not just through our lens, and we don't just see it from the outside, but we see it through everyone else's eyes. We have to go through that. And so if the review process is that you must see through everyone's eyes, meaning that it's about we, is how we heal, and that the soul is able to move on and heal and understand and learn the lesson in the life review. It's about we is what the life review healing process is. So therefore, it's about that exact same thing right now. Those things that have been going on, we've been reacting out of our ego's self-preservation. Oh my God, what is this do? Like you have a reaction. We judge because when we see something going on outside of us, we're worried about how it's going to affect us, not the we, but it's just you're thinking about yourself. But we're not really thinking about what needs to happen so that we really uplift all of us. And we need to start understanding that before we can judge anyone, we must put ourselves in their shoes. We must see it through their eyes, even if we don't understand it. Even if it, in the end, still is wrong to you, there is going to be a transformation, a change about how you your final outlook, if you really were to go through and try to put yourself in everybody's shoes every time to get the full perspective, you would have a different sort of energy or different perspective about that event. And so we really cheat ourselves by just thinking about us. And so the reason that you would do that is because you want to heal. You want to thrive. And the fifth dimensional paradigm is about all of us thriving together, all of us succeeding together. It is the only way. It is the only way to prevent some of the ills that has befallen our humanity over its history. These conditions will continue to perpetuate themselves if each one of us is in survival mode, meaning ego, meaning I mode. We're going to continue to have collapse of health, of finance, love, relationships, our whole human picture. That whole collage of our humanity is always going to be collapsing. This is why, you may be having a wonderful career, but you're not having a great romance, in your life, or, your finances are this, but, because it's like always something's popping up, as we would say. It's always something, we say, right? Because that was the survival mode. That's because we were focused through the ego. We have not learned to really look out for each other, the we. And I'm going to say this and you could understand it. If God is everything, and everything is God, then that means that we have to start thinking of ourselves as a collective, like one organism, like the ocean and the wave. What's the difference? The ocean and the waves. What is the difference? Are they made up of any different elements or parts? No. So like if we were to say to ourselves, we need to, this body of water, excuse me, this body of water is sick, it has chemicals, it's toxic, and we need to restore it. We would have to come up with a plan for it. And that's what needs to happen for us. It's, we got all these different governments, different communities, and everybody is doing the ego in them. This community is only thinking about themselves while a community across the other side of town is struggling. If someone in this world is struggling, everyone else is going to suffer that consequence. Because it's like a disease, like we've seen, that can spread. Because we're all connected. Not just physically, but spiritually. And we can't get around this. It's like what we're doing is it's like a Band-Aid. We are just applying Band-Aids. But again, it's going to pop up over here, pop up over here, pop up, because you can't suppress a dis-ease. And when we find a way as a world to come together and create almost, and I really hate to say this, but because I don't want to, I'm not a politician. I'm not, so I don't consider myself smart about these things, but I do consider myself smart about the heart and about love. And ultimately, we're going to realize that we're going to have to come up with a plan that helps everybody and helps everyone to have equality throughout the world, that it's not going to work that some have and some don't, and some are well and some are not, and and that all of us are surviving. The rich survive too. They're in survival mode because they're thinking about how to keep it. No one is exempt. It looks to you, and that's what another thing, seeing everything, going through, putting yourself in everybody's shoes before you come up with an opinion. It's not going to be as clear as the life review when you cross over, because you literally get to see it through their eyes. It's like a movie, you see it, but you'll get a glimpse of it that'll help you to live a little bit better, and your opinions will transform. Because there'll still be opinions, but they'll be of a higher nature. Okay, so let's take a look at the cards for this week. And remembering, it's our state of mind. I think this is what all of this is to say. So we can change our state of mind from survival to thriving. But the key to open that door is that you start thinking as we. It takes 2 heartbeats, 2 pulses, rather. It takes the heartbeat, rather, let's just put it that way, to open that door. All right, oh, wow. So we have Archangel Ariel, the archangel of nature. And the card is titled Prosperity. It says your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. And so a couple of things, tapping into what you need is going to mean switching from that survival mode to thriving, switching from I to we. In this time, there are needs that we have. Let's just, for an example, and we can, if we join together, if companies are shut down, but they have facilities, for example, to make some of the things that we need so that we can all prevent ourselves. I'm going to say this out loud, but like we basically need a human condom, right? We need the supplies to keep us from spreading the virus. Like, we don't have enough of them. And if companies collaborated, that is one way that we can alleviate our fears and some of the pressures of what this is creating for us. It would alleviate, in some ways, finances, because you would create jobs by doing this. But you'd have to do it within the safety guidelines of the health administration. So just an example, but this is, on something more personal for yourself, you'd have to translate that. But the idea is, it's either collaborating with others or focusing on services that will uplift and help others to thrive. That you are not just thinking about what you're going to get out of it or what you might lose, but what will be gained for the benefit of all. And this is a huge shift, because a lot of people when and I'll just give you this example because I'm finishing up my tarot certification, and there was this one part of the test, a question, a reading, where the person had a goal of an X amount of dollars for their new business, but came up short at the end of the year. And what I perceived from the cards that were presented by the teacher for us to interpret was that it all came down to the person in being in survival mode, focusing on the goal of making money, which is an ego thing. How am I going to survive? Versus offering a service of tremendous value. Because when we are inspired to do something, that is at the heart of the reason for that inspiration. It is to provide a service of tremendous value to the benefit of all of us. So you want your clients, your patrons to feel that they have been deeply cherished by you, and that they when they hold your product or experience whatever it is you're offering, that they feel tremendous value. That connection is what you and they are both benefiting from in that moment, in that transaction. That inspires you, uplifts you, makes you feel almost invincible and powerful, to forge ahead no matter what challenges come up. Your spirit just kind of lightens up, if you know what I mean. And as I was just doing the test, and I realized, because I was so afraid, about how this was all going to work out, and if I was going to get it all done, and I have like a week now, I have till next Friday. And as soon as I started getting into it, and I got so excited, I went to my singing, and my singing it's free. I felt like I was just producing energy rather than sound, and it felt limitless. My whole body was just something it had never been. But that was because I was doing something that was giving me a lot of value. It was giving me tremendous value. The Bridget, that Biddy Tarot had created, had given me tremendous value because it resonated with something that I deeply am invested in, and that I care about, and I care about doing what I do here for you. So I'm just giving you all of this so that you have this perspective about what Archangel Ariel is talking about in terms of prosperity. So we want to move into this prosperity paradigm. This is what the new earth sort of feels like. The fifth dimensional frequencies are like. All right, let's take a look at, and isn't this a wonderful card to pull for the beginning of the week? It's the Two of Cups, because it's that same kind of feeling that like you're loving everyone. What a novel idea, that everything that you do is like loving all of those people that you're going to have an influence over. I'm just seeing a rabbit, and it's like when you love, and the idea from on the physical level, love, we create an expansion of a family, right? When you love people through your talents and your gifts, you expand your audience, you expand your business, you expand your wealth, you expand everything, you expand your passion, you expand your heart, you invite more abundance. So the message here is to love everyone. This is what they keep writing. This is what the fifth dimensional frequency is about. It's about loving, and it's about loving everyone into health, into success. Whatever you do, love through this. It's not that none of us have never done this. Of course you have. The thing is that the ego, the survival mode, keeps robbing you, cheating you of it sort of having a sustainability. And what the fifth dimensional frequency does is now gives us the opportunity for sustainability. And at first it's not going to be long-term sustainability, but as you keep working it, it's going to start to become sustainable for you. You're going to, once you just get off of that me, and how am I going to make my bills meet, and just give that service that has tremendous value, and think this way in all things, and that really intense love, you are going to start to recognize that you are just naturally creating this kind of sustainability of affluence and possibilities and opportunities, is the word I just saw. Okay, and so here we have the Chariot. And, just one aspect of this, focus on the Chariot, is that sense of ease, because they're always, whether it's horses or whatever, there's no reins, physical reins. It's all happening out of the charioteer's focus, conviction. And you're going to see, and that focus and conviction is, aligned. And here we see always has a star, the laurel wreath around the head, the crown of the head, which gives this sort of idea of that their mentality is not survival, but prosperity. That's when you have confidence. You gain confidence from thinking that way, being in that paradigm. And that the head is in the sun here in this card, which is the sun is about success. So, that's that idea of you connecting into this. You have this opportunity, but you have to place yourself there. You have to be conscientious about this. Okay? All right, let's take a look at... Yeah, and so just looking at this, it's like, be conscientious about loving, about what you do. And as this happens, there are going to be new opportunities, new financial rewards, and all kinds of rewards. So they're going to come to you from the universe. So there's that sense of some new changes developing. If you shift into this we mode, it's contagious. When you really do something that benefits, you don't need ads. Think about the ads that we have right now. All of this marketing strategy is manipulation. It's one of the reasons, since I was a little child, even they gave us the cookies and stuff. I mean, it just... I felt like, you're convincing people to do something they don't need. And, even as you're a little child, the people don't just melt and go, oh my God, you're so adorable, I'm going to buy something from you. They don't, because people are in survival mode. They're worried about giving up their money. Rich people are the hardest to get money from, actually. I mean, we're all hard up on our money. There are generous hearts, rich, poor. My mother was one. She didn't have much, but she was always giving to other people. And she was always being miraculously blessed. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I hate to bring up my mother, but she really was an exceptional person, spiritual being. And I don't think she thought much about it. But it's that example. It's why I can say this to you, because I've experienced it. I've seen it. My whole childhood, I've seen it through my mother. And that's why I know what the angels are telling us is real. And we're all going to feel it once we shift into this. We're all going to start to realize it's so much easier. When you have and just going back to that marketing strategy, we have these algorithms and we have clickbait and we have psychiatry or psychology that works with marketing to teach them basically, or to how to manipulate us into spending money that we don't want to depart with. But think about it, if they just all focus, and I'm just talking about everyone, that we all focus on offering a service of tremendous value. Give people a product, like most of our electronics and things don't work they don't work long term anymore. But I remember, because I was born in 71, that, things didn't break. They would last for years. And, people would think about a company brand and say, oh, yeah, this is a good product. It's a good product. Yeah, where are you going to go? Going to go to this store because they give you good products. And now we don't get that anymore. We're just buying stuff because of the label. We're not buying it because of the value. We're buying it because of the label and because they told us that they're great. And, every time this one particular company puts something out, everybody just goes and buys it. And of course, I do believe they offer a good product. But at the same time, there's a lot of manipulation that we're seeing. And we won't need that anymore if we're all thinking this way. Because everybody's bottom line, no matter who they are, rich or poor, whatever the situation is, we're all still stuck in survival mode. And this sort of shut down, slow down is to give us time to digest what we've created collectively, what we've been participating in, and the ways that we can bring about, unleash our souls, the love in our souls. We're in a prosperous time to unleash the love of our souls. God loves us. God is God is all and all is God. So we loves us. God loves us because God is a collective. He's loving all of us, but he's just not one, but he's everything. And that is the love of God, and that's the love that we need to embody. We uplift, when you see somebody is lacking, or we see a group of people lacking, we have resources collectively as a world to change all of that. But we've got to get out of our ego in order to do that, to spread it out, to spread out the equality in all different ways, so that we can all no longer have to be in survival mode. Think about it, if everybody in the world was earning, and I know this is going to sound silly, but just for this, if everybody in the world was earning $1 million, because it's possible, because that's how much wealth exists. It's just it's in one place and not in others. But if it did, there would be no more desperation. Think about what would no longer be. Just think about that. I'm not going to even tell you, but you think about it. Start with prisons, because if everybody's has what they need, there is no longer the survival, but the focus on prospering. So let's take a look at the card coming from the bottom of the deck. And we have the death card. So what is that telling us? And there's that yellow ray that came in this week, and there's a sun. It's that transformation. This is a time of opportunity for great transformation. And yes, we do have people who are physically transitioning. And we are all we're all going through some kind of transition. And I don't know, I had a thought this week, they're really, and I don't know if I can convey it to you, but I had this thought, this feeling like there really isn't any kind of death, like ending, stop. It's not that. It's just ending, beginning. It's transitioning. Our souls just keep evolving, keep transitioning into one thing, into the next, to one place, into that, even within our physical lives. And these changes are because our souls are searching for something. So to leave this life is not to have had the misfortune of something happen to you. I mean, even just when we died of natural causes, it's not about, boy, I just wish we didn't do whatever we did that caused us to fall from grace and, it causes us to have to die. It's about that every soul, when they transition from physical reality, has decided, I'm finished. I've graduated. I completed my course. And now I get to go on to the next course. It's the same as graduating from high school. And I know you don't see it that way, but spiritually, it's the same as graduating from high school and having these loving parents who, ideally, and that whatever you got from your parents, it was what you needed. You knew it was going to be this way. And the time for you when you were to set out on your own path and take all the lessons and the wisdom and then share that, spread that throughout the world. Well, this is what happens to the soul when it transitions. It has the same feeling. It can't wait now to go to all the other aspects of the universe and to go through all those other levels and now share the enlightenment that has been gained. And that will come as soon as they do their life review. They'll get it, and then they'll take it and carry it on. Some choose to come back and bring it even stronger. So just to understand this, that this is a time of tremendous change where we can learn to bring tremendous value, the tremendous value of love to our planet, so we can create this new earth paradigm. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and I thank you for being present with me through this and sharing your collective wisdom. And if you're looking for an angel reading, you can contact me, of course, at theangelschool.com, which you can find in the description link below. Continue to join me on the daily card messages on my Facebook page. And as well as now you can find, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see when I post those daily card messages on my YouTube channel now. Okay, so I'm sure you're all aware that we can do that. So everyone, have a beautiful week and God bless you.